If you're new to Fortnite, you may have noticed how important building is. Many of the top players rate themselves on their building skills rather than their gunplay, and with good reason. If you can master the building mechanics, you have all the tools necessary to overcome any player and secure the win. But how do you start learning to build in the first place? Hi everyone, my name is Oxy, and this is my complete builder's guide for Fortnite Battle Royale. This guide will cover everything you need to know to get started, but if you're a veteran, you might want to stick around as well, as some of the stuff in here is not very well known. I'll be going over the types of structures, the different materials, every single edit option, techniques for moving and fighting with and against buildings, and finally how to get started with your very own fort for the final circle. First, let's begin with building basics. There are 4 basic pieces that can be built: walls, floors, ramps, and roofs. Each piece is built using one of 3 resource materials: wood, brick, or metal. Building any one of the 4 structures will cost 10 of your mats. There's no limitation to how quickly you can build as long as you have enough mats to place each piece. Materials are harvested from the world with your pickaxe and can also show up as drops from chests or item spawns, can be looted from dead players, and can be dropped and shared with teammates just like any ammo type. Note, however, that hitting player-built structures, either your own or an enemy's, will not return any of the mats invested into that structure. Although each structure always costs 10 mats, each individual piece will vary in how much health it has. A wall will always have the most health compared to other pieces of the same material, and pieces made of a stronger material will have more health than pieces made of a weaker material. However, this does not mean that metal is objectively the best material for all situations, and here's why. When a structure is placed, it is spawned and begins to build itself. During this time, the structure will be semi-transparent, as the materials are automatically filled into the outline. When the material has been fully built, it will bounce and make a sound to let you know it is done. During this building process, the structure spawns at a set value of health and slowly heals itself over time to its maximum health value. In spite of metal having the greatest maximum health, metal structures will actually spawn with the least amount of health to start, and will take the longest to reach their max health. By contrast, wooden structures spawn with the most starting health and are the fastest to complete their build. This means that if you are under fire and must build cover quickly, wood walls and ramps will be the safest option since they spawn with the most health. In fact, wood walls spawn with so much health that they are the only structure that can tank a shell from a pump shotgun with their starting health. This also means that your structures are much weaker when they are first placed down. If you are taking fire, don't expect anything you put down to last very long until the enemy stops to reload. Similarly, if you are firing on someone and they start building, don't stop firing immediately, as you can cut through their walls while they are being built much more easily than if you let them finish building. During the building process, the amount of materials applied to the structure signifies the amount of health it has generated. This also applies when a wall is shot or damaged and is most evident on brick walls. It is very easy to tell the relative health of a brick wall since it will fill up bottom to top with bricks. A brick wall with only a few bricks missing at the top is still healthy, while one with only a few remaining at the bottom is about to break. Note that this means that when taking cover behind a highly damaged structure, you are often visible to enemies on the other side. Keep this in mind when peeking from your base with a sniper rifle. You can use the transparent wall to safely line up your shot before peeking and firing. Before we talk about how to use your pieces, I want to talk about editing. Once a building has been created, you can edit it to change its shape. You can also edit the shape of a building during the build mode before you have placed it down. Note that editing during build mode will make every additional piece you put down have that edit, while editing a piece after you have placed it will only change that particular piece. Editing in Fortnite is pretty simple. To remove elements of a structure, simply click on a tile to disable it and click again to re-enable. If at any point you don't like what you've done, you can hit your zoom button to fully reset the structure to its original shape. Additionally, while building ramps, you can press your reload key to rotate the structure to your desired angle. Although you cannot edit buildings placed by an enemy player, yours are always available to edit, and if you're playing in squads, you can also edit anything built by your teammates as well. So the next time your friend traps you under their base, just make a door on the wall instead of chopping the whole wall down. You can also edit any neutral structures. The architect house and the northeast part of the map is a good example of this. There are a ton of different edit options, much more than are possible to cover in this video, but if you want to see all the possibilities, take a look at this handy chart to get started. There are 2 important things I want to mention, however, regarding ramp edits. First, ramps differ from the other structures in that to edit them, you must click a corner tile and drag it in a direction in order to dictate the direction of the stairs. rather than simply selecting tiles. Second, it's actually possible to rotate your ramps after they have been built. Dragging from the small arrow tiles to their opposite will influence the direction of the slope. This is extremely helpful if you're in a fort and want to peek one of your off walls. One final note for editing. Edits count as negative space. If you want to demolish a structure quickly, you can edit out the connecting parts to destroy the whole thing without having to whack at it with your pickaxe. Now, let's talk about some basic uses for your pieces, starting with walls. Walls are ideal cover, not only because they have the most health relative to their mat type, but because they synergize with every other piece. If you're taking fire, your first reaction should almost always be to start spamming walls to protect yourself. Remember that freshly built walls will be weaker, so it's best to back up and spam multiple layers of walls. Ramps can also be used as impromptu cover in spite of being slightly weaker than walls. They are ideal when rushing a sniper, as you can use them as cover while continuing to move forward and a sniper will not be able to punch through them fast enough to stop you. If you've just walled yourself defensively, a good option is to build a ramp behind your wall so you can peek over the top of your wall and return fire. This also provides a double layer of protection since your enemy will need to punch through both your wall and the ramp behind it to knock you down. Note that you can place complementary structures without needing line of sight. For example, if you placed the ramp but forgot to place a wall in front, you can still place the wall through the ramp without needing to get down and move to the front. This can be used when ascending under fire to protect your ramps from being shot down immediately as well. However, you must be careful of going too high. Structures in Fortnite cannot float. If the piece connecting them to the ground is destroyed, the entire structure will break. The maximum height you can fall without taking fall damage is 3 stories high, so keep this in mind when building. To this end, if you're rushing someone, it is usually advisable to build a double column of ramps going up. This is ideal for 2 reasons. First, it takes longer for the enemy to shoot down since they have to knock out both of the anchoring platforms. Secondly, it's much harder for them to pre-fire you since they can't be sure which platform you're going to peek from. Next up are floors. These are ideal for traversing distance horizontally, protecting you from overhead fire, or dropping safely from heights. Traversing distance with them is pretty self-explanatory. Just remember that if you're more than 3 stories up, you're at risk of taking damage if someone shoots them out, so only travel short distances or double stack the columns to reduce the risk. If you're using them on your fort, remember that you can edit holes in them to shoot at people below you. You can also enter edit mode to see through them to find enemies hiding beneath you. Until you commit the edit, the enemy can't see you on the other side. Remember that both of these techniques can also be used on walls, either to simply watch through for enemies or to create quick windows through which you can shoot. Floors can also be used to descend from heights and extend the range of your jump. When dropping from a hill or from your fort, build floors under you to prevent fall damage. Remember that you don't even need to be too close to the wall to land on the floor piece. You can also place a floor piece on a wall to extend the range of your jump or to boost yourself to a height after jumping off a tire. Floors can also be placed on top of structures to serve as overhead cover. This is great for when you need to quickly duck inside somewhere and heal up. Place a floor, then a ramp under which you can crouch for double the layer of protection. If you want to get really safe, you can put a roof piece, then a floor piece, then a ramp for a triple layer of safety. Speaking of roofs, these are the most underutilized building pieces in the game. Most new and even experienced players will often ignore them, which is a mistake. Roofs are the specialist pieces of your building set. Although you may not use them as much as the 3 main pieces, they have a lot of niche uses that the others can't fill. For one, the shapes you can make with them are quite interesting. Raise 2 tiles on one side to create a makeshift ramp. This is useful if you have your ramp set in a stair formation but still want to make a default ramp slope. The default roof shape is also extremely useful. I like spreading it around the top of my base in late game. The pyramid shape gives me lots of cover when I'm sniping, and the many different edges mean I have multiple places to peek from to keep my opponents guessing. Remember that you can place your floor pieces through the roofs for 2 layers of protection. However, doing this means that you can't quickly edit peek under your base or create holes through which you can shoot enemies underneath. Finally, ever had to pass up some good loot because you're already stacked? Drop a roof piece over it to hide the telltale glow. You can also drop roof pieces over downed players. Place one on top of a downed enemy to trap them from moving around while you hunt his teammates, or place one over your own downed teammates to give them some protection until the coast is clear to revive them. Using the roof tile in such a way is very efficient because it only costs 10 mats to place but offers full 360 degrees of coverage. Using 4 walls and maybe a roof will cost you 4 to 5 times as much. If you follow these tips, you should find yourself lasting much longer in fights and generally putting yourself in a better position to win each engagement you take. Building is key to success in Fortnite, so mastering the skill is of utmost importance for mastering the game. This is my first Fortnite video, but I'm planning on making more, so if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I also want to take a moment to mention my Twitter and Discord for all our new subscribers. You can find links to both of these in the description, and I highly encourage you to check either of them out if you want to get to know me better, or have something specific you want to ask or discuss. I'm very active on both platforms, and I'm most likely to respond there. Once again, my name is Oxy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.